living by faith in a scary time such as this. Today, I have my beautiful wife with me to talk to you guys about what it means to live by faith in a time such as this.
Hello,
Hello.
Jeroen.
Welcome.
Thank you. A privilege to be here.
Yes, and so we will just dive into this. You know, we've been married 12 plus years, more than 12 years now.
12 years.
And we've been in ministry this whole time. And we have done the ministry all these years, literally by faith.
Yes, yeah. If it wasn't for God, I don't think we would be able to be at all carrying on.
We didn't have what it takes to start with.
In the beginning anyway, yeah.
And we didn't have what it takes to continue.
Yeah. But God, they always say. And that's how it is with us, but God.
God blessed us through the way and provided all the needs. God sustained us.
Yes, He did.
He sustained us with good health, sustained us with a marriage that God Himself blessed.
Yes, everything have got its challenges, but yeah, God is really just because of God.
And God blessed us with our children in spite of all our shortcomings and failures and mistakes.
Yes. Very nice.
And so it is all boiling down to one thing. It is God's grace, and
Yes.
the ministry and life is only by means of faith in God.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And we are, like you say, we're living in the end times, and it's just going to get harder. Yeah, so many things have changed, and they're not going to go back to normal. There's a verse in 2 Corinthians 5 verse 7, which I want to read for you. It says, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." And that should really be our motto. Just trusting God and day by day walking. And walking is something you do step by step. Many times God doesn't show you far ahead of time. He just help you to do the next step. So I really believe it's a step by step process.
Exactly. And now, especially in a time like this, it was necessary to walk by faith, let's say 20 years ago, or 15 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 5 years ago. But today, it is literally, I believe, it is literally impossible to live a life based on the Bible, a Christian life, without walking by faith step by step, as you said, Elsa.
Absolutely. And let's get practical. How do we do it? In a practical way, with our families, with our friends, wherever we go. Do you have some advice for us?
I think it starts with, as you said, by positioning ourselves on this principle of walking by faith. But when you get into the nitty-gritty details of life, managing the finance, you might not have the money to pay the bills at the end of the month. Maybe God is expecting you to now learn to depend on Him rather than putting your trust in the numbers on your bank account.
Definitely, more than ever. And God, but I really believe God will come through for us. Maybe not in the way we expect, but He always comes through. And I really believe that we also need to remind Him, even though He doesn't need reminding, we need to stand on His word and tell Him, Lord, you say in your word, you will never let the righteous go hungry. You always provide for them more than they need, and things like that. All the different scriptures of God's provision, of God's coming through for His people, always. But there's another side to it, obviously. He said the righteous will live by faith. If you're not righteous, if you have things in your life that's not right, then don't expect God to do that. First make right with God.
I'm so glad you said that the righteous shall live by faith. That is one of my favorite verses. Lately I've been quoting it often. That is both in Habakkuk, but also in Hebrews chapter 10. Habakkuk 12 and Hebrews chapter 10. In fact, in Hebrews, it is quoted what is written in Habakkuk that says, Hebrews 10 verse 37 and 38. For yet a little while, and he who is coming will come, he will not tarry. referring to the second coming of Jesus Christ. He's going to come. He's not going to be late. He's going to come for his people first. But then, verse 38 says, however, now, in these last days, the just, the righteous of God shall live by faith. It is God's, literally God's roadmap for us in these last days.
Yes.
Let's look around us. Coronavirus and all different variants and all different versions of this virus is plaguing country after country. People are losing jobs. Millions of people are jobless because of this. They have lost income. Uncounted numbers of people are committing suicide because of depression. Internal violence in families because of lockdowns has skyrocketed like never before. What about global surveillance of people all over the world and people losing their privacy? These are just few to name a lot of troubles in the world. In the middle of this, how can you live by faith?
I believe it's not going to be easy. God never promised us an easy life. And especially in the last days, he said, you will have persecution, but it might be different from, say, the Chinese church where people are locked up. Even that's already happening anyway. But, that we really, more than ever, have to put our trust and keep our eyes on Jesus and not the circumstances. And also teach our kids like that. In a way, it's a good thing too, because it's also teaching them to trust Jesus more and more.
I'm glad you mentioned that we need to live by faith, and our persecution that we face today might not be the same.
Yeah, it's different.
As you read in some great missionary books about the persecution of Chinese church or Middle Eastern church. But what about Christians today who are being literally prosecuted or persecuted for not taking a vaccine or for not complying with some ridiculous regulations that are being imposed on them? Yes. What about churches in Canada that are being shut down, pastors being imprisoned for preaching the gospel, for preaching the word of God, for worshiping God, for coming together to pray, for encouraging one another, for going and praying for a sick person? Yes. Pastors are being arrested in the Western world. So persecution is already here and it's increasing. Now, in the midst of all that, what are we going to do? Are we going to cave in? Are we going to give up because of this persecution and comply to the demands of this godless world out there? Or are we going to hold on to what the Word of God says? Or as we say, are we going to stick to our guns and do what we are called by God to do?
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that God comes first, and then whatever the government instructs. Everybody have to make it out with God. But I honestly believe there are at the moment so many things the government expect from Christians, especially, which goes straight against what God expects, and then we can't obey them.
Exactly. Our first and most important allegiance is to the King of Kings, Jesus Christ. He is our soon coming King. He is not coming to fetch for those who will sell Jesus out for the sake of favors and comfort from the godless rulers on earth. No. He's coming for those who will be loyal and faithful to him, no matter what the cost is.
Yes, and we have to make a choice. Daily we have to choose to follow him, I believe, and not to give in to fear. And that's only when Jesus brings you that peace. Things can bring it. You can't do it for yourself. Jesus and his Spirit have to give you that peace, and that's really my prayer every day, that he will be our peace as we go around, and that we will also spread it to other people. Also, in terms of them seeing that testimony, we're not scared.
Exactly.
And this life is only a short time. We are looking forward to to a life that will carry on forever with Jesus, and that's really what matters. Obviously, what here and now too, but where is our focus? I think that's the thing. Where is our focus?
Exactly. For me, it's very sad to see so many Christians are now swayed away by focusing now and here only, and Jesus is only an ornament that they are hanging on the wall at the moment. But let us get it right and straight for ourselves in our lives. Let us put the focus on Jesus. He is what matters. He is the eternal King of Kings, and our allegiance to Him is above all. It should be above all. It should be unshakable. And furthermore, as you said, my love, we shall not live by fear. The world wants you to live by fear. Media organs, TV stations, radio programs, newspapers, they want to pump this fear-driven propaganda into your veins every day, every hour. They want to become so afraid that you're scared to breathe the fresh air in.
Yeah.
They want to be so afraid that you don't want to stick your nose out of your window.
I think that's a good point that you're making there, because some of us get so caught up in all the media, what the media is saying and doing. And I believe as Christians, we should know what's going on, but we shouldn't be on it all the time, and because that also take our focus off Jesus. Exactly.
And now, if we are not called to live by fear, what then are we called to live? I'm sure you know the answer to this. God called us to live by faith. In spite of all the craze, all the maniac movement going all over the world, all the fear propaganda going all over the world, in spite of the fact that people are dying left, right, and center all around us, we are called to live by faith. And furthermore, I want to bring the final punchline here. That is, as Apostle Paul said, if I live to Christ. If I die to Christ. Because Christ for me is all and all. My life is all about Christ. So I am just rephrasing what Paul was saying. And that should be the motto for all of us as believers today in this dark and crazy world. We live for Christ. We don't live for ourselves. And our perspective is not just now and here. And we are not scared. We are not driven around by fear mongering that is coming from every direction.
It's natural to be scared. I think it's natural. And that's why we just really need His Spirit and His Word in Jesus to give us that peace.
And Jesus is our sustainer. He is the one who created us. He's the one who called us by our name. He's the one who saved us by His grace. He's the one who's sustaining us. And one day we shall stand before Him. But hopefully, I believe, my hope and my faith is still that one day He will come to fetch us. One day soon, He will come to fetch us. And we will meet with Him on the clouds at an event we call rapture. As I just read in Hebrews 10, verse 37, for yet a little while, and He who is coming will come, He will not tarry. Verse 38, now the just shall live by faith. Friends, fix your eyes on Jesus. Adopt a lifestyle of living by faith and refuse becoming the victim of fear-mongering that is coming to you from every direction. God bless you. Until we see you again, goodbye.